The Galactic Council chamber was never truly silent. Even in its calmest moments, there was always a low hum. Soft lights glowed along the walls. Strange alien devices clicked and pulsed with energy. Dozens of different species sat around a massive dark table, each one powerful in its own way. Some had glowing eyes. Some had metal skin. Some did not even breathe air. They were the rulers of the galaxy. And today, they were waiting. A new species had requested to speak. Humans. The name itself did not impress anyone. They are weak. One tall. Then alien said quietly. Its long fingers tapped the table. Their technology is primitive. They still fight wars among themselves. Another replied with a cold laugh. They are not ready to stand here. Around the table, a few others nodded. To them, humans were just another small species trying to survive. Nothing special. Nothing dangerous. At the far end of the chamber, a large figure sat still. He was different from the others. His body was covered in dark, armor-like skin. Two massive curved horns rose from his head. His red eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. He did not laugh. He did not speak. He only watched. He had seen many species before. Some had come with pride. Some with fear. Most of them were gone now. Destroyed. Forgotten. But something about humans had caught his attention. They came alone, he said slowly. The room grew slightly quieter. Alone? Someone asked. Yes, the Horn leader replied. One human. No guards. No fleet waiting outside. A few aliens exchanged looks. That is foolish, one said. Or brave, another whispered. Before anyone could say more, a deep sound echoed through the chamber. The main doors were opening. All eyes turned toward the entrance. The doors moved slowly, revealing a bright white light from the hallway outside. For a moment, no one could see clearly. Then a figure stepped inside. The human. He was smaller than most expected. No armor. No visible weapons. Just simple clothing. Dark hair. Calm face. He walked forward at a steady pace. No hesitation. No fear. That was the first thing that felt wrong. Many species trembled when they entered this room for the first time. Some could not even speak. But this human, he walked like he belonged there. The chamber lights dimmed slightly as a blue holographic scan activated around him. Thin lines of light moved across his body, checking for hidden weapons or devices. A soft voice from the system spoke. Scan complete. No threats detected. A few council members relaxed. Others became more curious. How interesting, one said. He truly came unarmed. The human stopped in the center of the room, right in front of the massive table, right in front of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. For a moment, no one spoke. The silence fell heavy. Then, one of the council leaders leaned forward. Its voice was sharp and cold. State your name and purpose, human. The human lifted his head slightly. My name is not important, he said calmly. A few aliens frowned at that. You stand before the Galactic Council. Another voice said, everything about you is important. The human did not react. Instead, he looked around the room. Slowly, carefully, his eyes moved from one alien to another, studying them, learning. The Horn leader noticed this. He leaned forward just a little. You are not afraid, he said. The human finally looked at him. No, he answered simply. That answer made several council members uncomfortable. Confidence was dangerous, especially from a species that was supposed to be weak. Then speak, the Horn leader said. Why are you here? The human took a small breath. The room seemed to grow colder. I came to deliver a message, he said. A low murmur spread across the table. A message? One alien laughed softly. From humans. Go on, another said, clearly amused. The human remained calm. This message is important, he continued. Important to who? Someone asked. To all of you. Now the room was quiet again. Something in his voice had changed. It was still calm, still simple, but now it carried weight. The Horn leader's glowing eyes narrowed slightly. What kind of message? He asked. The human did not answer immediately. Instead, he looked up at the ceiling, where red lights moved slowly in a circular pattern. Then he looked back at the council. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes were steady, focused. "You will not like it," he said. A few aliens shifted in their seats. One of them gave a small laugh. "We have heard many threats before, human." "This is not a threat," the human replied. "Then what is it?" the Horn leader asked. The human paused for just a second, and in that second, something strange happened. The room felt different. The air felt heavier. Even the machine seemed quieter. Then the human spoke again. His voice was low, clear, and final. "It is a warning." Silence. No one laughed this time. No one moved. The word echoed in the chamber. Warning. From a human. Impossible. Or maybe not. The Horn leader slowly stood up from his seat. His full height was terrifying. His shadow stretched across the table. "Be careful with your next words," he said. The human did not step back, did not look away. Instead, he met the leader's gaze directly. Then, very slowly, he spoke again. And this time, he said just 3 words. The chamber did not breathe. Time itself felt frozen as the human stood in the center of the Galactic Council. Every eye was on him. Every weapon system was quietly active. Even the machines seemed to wait. The Horn leader did not move. His glowing red eyes were locked on the human. "Speak," he said, his voice deep and controlled. The human did not raise his voice. He did not show anger. He simply said the 3 words. "We remember everything." Silence. No one reacted at first. The words were simple. Too simple. Some of the council members looked at each other in confusion. "What does that mean?" one of them asked. Another leaned forward. "Is this some kind of human joke?" But the human did not smile. His face stayed calm, cold, serious. "We remember every attack," he said slowly. Now the room began to change. The soft confidence that once filled the chamber started to fade. "We remember every ship you destroyed," the human continued. A low sound came from one side of the table. One alien shifted in its seat. "We remember every colony that disappeared," the human said. Now there was no laughter, only silence, heavy silence. The Horn leader narrowed his eyes. "You are making accusations," he said. "No," the human replied. "I am stating facts." A faint blue light suddenly appeared in the center of the table. A hologram. It flickered once. Then it became clear. A human ship, broken, floating in space. Its surface was burned and torn apart. "This was one of our first exploration vessels," the human said. "It never came home." The image changed. Another ship, destroyed. Then another, and another. The council watched in silence. Some of them recognized the attacks. Some of them did not. But all of them understood one thing. Humans had been watching, recording, learning. "This is normal," one alien finally said, trying to sound calm. "Weak species suffer. It is the way of the galaxy." The human turned his head slightly. "And that is why we are here," he said. The Horned leader leaned forward. "What are you saying?" he asked. The human did not answer right away. Instead, he lifted his hand. The hologram changed again. This time, it showed something different. A fleet, but not just any fleet. It was massive. Hundreds of ships. No, thousands. And they were not broken. They were perfect, sleek, advanced, powerful. The design was unlike anything the council had seen before. "This is impossible," one council member whispered. "Humans cannot build this," another said. The human looked at them. "We did not build it overnight," he said. "We learned." The hologram zoomed in. The ships were moving. Fast. Too fast. "They are already in motion," the human added. A sudden alert flashed across several consoles in the room. Red lights. Warning signals. One of the council members stood up quickly. This cannot be real," he said, his voice shaking. But the data was clear. Unknown fleets were appearing near multiple star systems, moving with perfect coordination, avoiding detection, avoiding defense systems. "They are inside our borders," someone whispered. Panic started to grow. "Activate defenses. Send fleets now. Block the jump points." Voices filled the chamber. But the human did not move. He simply watched. "You are too late," he said quietly. That sentence cut through the noise like a blade. The horned leader raised his hand. Instant silence returned. His eyes were no longer calm. There was something else now. Concern. How long? He asked. The human answered without hesitation. Long enough. The horned leader understood. This was not a sudden attack. This was a plan. A long plan. Careful. Patient. Dangerous. You hid this from us, he said. Yes, the human replied. Why reveal it now? The human looked around the chamber once more. This time his eyes held something deeper. Not anger, not fear, but certainty. Because this is the last moment you can choose, he said. The room grew quiet again. Choose what? One alien asked. The human stepped slightly forward. The blue light of the hologram reflected in his eyes. Peace, he said. A few council members looked confused. Others looked afraid. And if we refuse? The horned leader asked. The human did not smile. He did not threaten. He simply answered. Then nothing will stop what has already begun. At that moment, another alert appeared, stronger than before. One of the most powerful empires in the council had just lost contact with its outer defenses. Completely. No signals. No survivors. The chamber filled with tension. Real tension. Not pride. Not arrogance. Fear. The horned leader slowly leaned back. For the first time, he truly saw the human, not as a weak species, not as a newcomer, but as something else. Something dangerous. You planned this for years, he said. The human nodded once. Yes. And all of this, the leader gestured at a hologram. Because of what we did to you? The human's voice remained steady. No. A pause. Then he added something worse. Because of what you are. The meaning was clear. This was not revenge. This was judgment. The room went completely silent again. No one spoke. No one moved. Because now they understood the truth. The 3 words were not just a message. They were a promise. And whatever was coming next could not be stopped. His silence inside the Galactic Council chamber was no longer calm. It was heavy, dangerous. Every leader sitting at the great table could feel it now. The balance of power they had trusted for centuries was breaking. And at the center of it all stood one human. Still calm, still unafraid. The hologram above the table continued to move. Human ships, thousands of them, spread across different parts of the galaxy. They did not rush. They did not panic. They moved with purpose, like they had already won. This is not possible, one council member said again, but his voice was weaker now. No species could build this without us knowing. The human looked at him. You were not looking, he said simply. That answer stung more than any attack. Around the chamber, systems continued to flash warnings. Unknown fleet detected. Defense grid bypassed. Communication loss. The messages came one after another, each one worse than the last. They're avoiding our scanners, an alien technician reported. It is like they can see everything before it happens. The human nodded slightly. We can, he said. A deep, uneasy sound moved through the room. The horned leader stood still, his massive form casting a long shadow across the table. His red eyes followed the movement of the human fleet on the hologram. You studied us, he said. Yes. You learned our weaknesses. Yes. And now you use them against us. The human paused. Then he answered. We improved them. That single sentence made the situation even worse. It was not just that humans had copied their technology. They had made it better, faster, stronger, smarter. How long? Another council member asked, his voice low. How long have you been preparing this? The human looked at him. Since the first time when your ships fired on ours. The chamber went quiet again. That was many years ago, long before most of the council even noticed humans. You were supposed to be divided, one alien said. Your own kind fights itself. The human gave a small nod. That is true, he said. A few aliens leaned forward, confused. Then how did you unite? One asked. The human's eyes grew slightly colder. You helped us. That answer made several council members freeze. We showed you what happens when we stay divided. The human continued. So we changed. Images appeared in the hologram. Human worlds. Factories working together. Ships being built at incredible speed. Different nations sharing knowledge. Weapons being designed not for war between humans, but for something else. For them. You forced us to become better, the human said. There was no anger in his voice now. Only truth. The Horn leader slowly walked around the table. His heavy steps echoed through the chamber. You are telling us, he said carefully, that every attack we made only made you stronger? Yes. And now you come here not to ask for peace. The human finished the sentence. But to offer it, the difference was clear. This was no longer a request. It was a choice. A final one. Suddenly, one of the council members stood up. I refuse this, he said loudly. His body shook, but he tried to sound strong. We are the rulers of this galaxy, not you. Several others nodded, trying to regain their confidence. Yes, another said. We still have our fleets. We outnumber you. You are still new. For a moment, it almost felt like the old pride was coming back. Then the human raised his hand again. The hologram changed. One section zoomed in. A large alien fleet, one of the strongest in the council. Hundreds of ships, fully armed, ready for battle. They have engaged our forces, the human said. The council watched closely. The alien fleet moved forward. Weapons charged. Energy built up. Then the human ships appeared. Not from far away, not from the front, but from everywhere. Above, below, behind. They moved like shadows. Too fast to track. Too fast to target. They are surrounding them, someone shouted. Fire! The alien commander in the hologram ordered. Bright beams of energy shot across space. But they hit nothing. The human ships were already gone. Moving. Changing position. Striking from new angles. One by one, the alien ships began to fall. Not exploding wildly, but shutting down. Disabled. Controlled. They are not destroying them, one council member whispered. They are taking them. The realization spread quickly. Humans were not just attacking. They were capturing fleets, adding them, learning even more. Within moments, the battle was over. The powerful alien fleet was gone. No resistance, no victory, just silence. Back in the chamber, no one spoke. No one even tried. The truth was clear now. This was not a war. It was something far more controlled. The horned leader stopped walking. He turned back toward the human. You could have destroyed them, he said. Yes, but you didn't. No. Why? The human answered without hesitation. Because we don't need to. That answer was simple, but it carried a terrifying meaning. Humans were not fighting for survival anymore. They were operating from strength, complete strength. You already control the outcome, the horn leader said quietly. The human met his gaze. Yes. Another long silence filled the chamber. Then the human took one small step forward. This is why we came here first, he said. The council listened carefully now. No pride, no arrogance, only attention. We are giving you a chance to choose your future, the human continued. A pause. Then he added, before we decide it for you. The words settled heavily in the room, because now, for the first time, the Galactic Council understood something they had never felt before. They were no longer in control. The chamber no longer felt like a place of power. It felt like a place waiting for judgment. No one laughed anymore. No one spoke without thinking. The human still stood in the center, calm and still, while the hologram above the table continued to change. More alerts appeared. More signals were lost. More fleets disappeared. And still, the human did nothing. He did not rush. He did not threaten. That was what made it worse. This is not war, one council member whispered. No, another replied quietly. This is control. The horn leader remained silent for a long moment. His glowing red eyes moved across the data. Every update told the same story. Human ships were everywhere, but not in chaos. Not in anger, in perfect order. Report, he finally said. One of the alien commanders stood, his hands shaking slightly. "Our outer systems are falling," he said, "but not destroyed. Disabled. Taken offline." "Civilian losses?" the Horn leader asked. The commander paused. "Minimal." That single word spread across the room like a shock. Minimal? In a galaxy where war meant total destruction? That made no sense. "They are targeting only military systems," the commander continued. "Weapons, fleets, command centers." The council members looked at each other, confused, afraid. "They are choosing what to hit," someone said. "They are choosing what not to hit," another added. The difference mattered. It meant something. The human finally spoke again. "We told you," he said calmly. "We are not here to destroy everything." The horned leader turned toward him. "Then what are you doing?" he asked. The human met his gaze. "We are removing the threat." Silence. That answer was too clear, too direct. "You see yourself as a threat?" one council member asked. The human shook his head. "No," he said. "We see your actions as a threat." The room went quiet again, because deep down, they knew he was right. For centuries, the council had allowed strong empires to do whatever they wanted. Smaller species were used, tested, or destroyed. It was normal. It was power. But now, someone had decided to stop it. A new alert flashed across the table. This one was different, louder, brighter. "Priority signal," the system announced. All eyes turned to the hologram. A large alien empire, one of the oldest and strongest, was under attack. Its defenses were massive. Its fleets were legendary. No one has ever broken them, one council member said. The human said nothing. The hologram zoomed in. The alien empire activated its full defense grid. Energy shields surrounded entire planets. Thousands of ships formed a wall in space. Weapons charged. Ready, waiting. Then the human fleet arrived, but not in one direction, not in one formation. They appeared in small groups, scattered, almost weak. "They are making a mistake," one alien said quickly. "They are not attacking together." But the human remained calm. "Watch," he said. The alien fleet fired first. Massive beams of energy cut through space. Several human ships were hit, destroyed. A few council members smiled. "See," one said, "they are not invincible." But then something changed. The human ships that survived did not retreat. They moved closer, closer than any normal ship would dare. "What are they doing?" someone asked. Then suddenly, every human ship shut down its visible energy. They disappeared from scanners. Completely. "They're gone," the commander shouted. "No, not gone," another said. "Hidden." Before anyone could react, the human ships reappeared. Inside the defense grid, inside the shield. "That's impossible," someone yelled. But it was already happening. The human ships began to move quickly between the alien fleet. Not firing, not attacking, just moving. Then every alien system shut down at once. Weapons failed. Engines stopped. Shields collapsed. The entire defense grid went dark. The chamber fell silent. No explosions. No chaos. Just complete control. "How?" one council member whispered. The human answered quietly. "We stopped fighting like you." That answer confused them. "What does that mean?" the horn leader asked. The human looked at him. "You fight to destroy," he said. "We fight to end the fight." The difference hit hard, because what they had just seen was not destruction. It was domination. Clean, precise, final. The powerful alien empire in the hologram did not explode. It simply stopped, captured without resistance. The room felt colder now, much colder. The horn leader slowly walked back to his seat. For the first time, his movements were slower, more careful. "You could have done this earlier," he said. "Yes." "Then why wait?" The human paused. This time, his answer came with a small change in his voice. Not anger, but something deeper. "We hoped you'd change," he said. The room remained silent. "But you didn't," the human added. No one argued. No one denied it, because they couldn't. Another long pause filled the chamber. Then the human took a step forward again. "This is the first strike," he said. The words were simple, but they carried weight. Heavy weight. "What comes next?" one council member asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The human looked around the room, at every face, at every leader. Then he answered, "That depends on you." The horned leader closed his eyes for a brief moment, thinking, calculating. For the first time in his long life, he was not planning how to win. He was deciding how to survive. When he opened his eyes again, they were no longer filled with pride. They were filled with understanding. The galaxy had changed, and the one who changed it was standing right in front of them. The Galactic Council Chamber felt different now. It was no longer a place of power. It was a place of realization. The leaders who once spoke with pride now sat in silence. Their glowing eyes, strange forms, and powerful bodies no longer looked untouchable. They looked uncertain. At the center of the room, the human still stood alone. No armor, no weapon, yet he controlled everything. The hologram above the table slowed. The images of captured fleets and silent systems faded into a calm blue light. For a brief moment, there were no alarms, no warnings, just quiet. The horned leader finally spoke again. His voice was not as strong as before. "You said this is not revenge," he said. The human nodded once. "Yes." "Then what is it?" the leader asked. The human took a small breath. For the first time, there was a slight change in his expression. Not anger, not coldness, but something heavier. "Memory. This is a result," he said. The council listened carefully. "The result of everything you chose to ignore." A soft wave of movement passed through the chamber. Some leaders shifted in their seats. Others looked down. The human raised his hand again. The hologram changed. This time, the images were different. Not ships, not battles. People, human people. A small colony on a distant planet appeared. Children were running across open land. Buildings were simple but peaceful. Then the sky darkened. Alien ships appeared. The scene moved quickly. Explosions, fire, screams. The image cut. Another one appeared. A human research station in space. Scientists working. Then an attack. No warning. No reason. The station was destroyed in seconds. The hologram shifted again. A transport ship, full of civilians. It never reached its destination. The room grew colder with every image. "These are only a few," the human said quietly. "There are many more." No one spoke, because many in that room had seen things like this before. They had allowed it. Some had even ordered it. "It was nothing personal," one council member said weakly. "It was just how things are done." The human looked directly at him. "That is the problem," he said. "Silence. You call it normal," the human continued. "We call it wrong." The difference was clear, and it could not be ignored anymore. The horned leader slowly stood up again. This time, his movement was not filled with power. It was careful, thoughtful. "You are saying," he began, "that your entire species changed because of this?" "Yes," the human replied. The leader studied him closely. "And all humans agree with this?" The human paused. For a moment, the room felt still again. Then he answered, "No." A few council members looked surprised. "We are not perfect," the human said. "We still argue. We still disagree." That sounded more familiar to the council, more normal. But when it came to this, the human continued, "We made a choice." "What choice?" the horned leader asked. The human's eyes hardened slightly. "We decided that survival was not enough." That sentence stayed in the air. Heavy, clear. "We decided that if we survive," he continued, "we do not become like you." No one argued. No one laughed. Because now, the truth was too strong. "You built power without limits," the human said. "We built limits for our power." The chamber remained silent. Another hologram appeared. This time, it showed human ships stopping attacks instead of starting them, protecting smaller worlds, blocking invasions, ending conflicts. "You think we came here to take control," the human said. "But we came to stop what you started long ago." The horned leader took a slow step forward. And if we refuse, he asked. The human looked at him calmly. Then nothing changes, he said. A pause. Then he added, and that is why we act. The meaning was clear. Humans would continue, with or without the council. Another alert appeared, but this one was different. It was not a warning. It was a report. Several smaller alien systems had just been secured by human fleets. No destruction, no damage, just control. They are stabilizing regions, one council member said quietly, not conquering them. That realization spread slowly. Humans were not expanding like a normal empire. They were correcting, fixing, changing the structure of the galaxy itself. The horned leader looked at the human again. This time, there was something new in his eyes. Not fear, not anger, respect. You are not just strong, he said. You are disciplined. The human did not respond, but his silence was enough. Another long pause filled the chamber. Then the horned leader asked the most important question. What happens if we accept your offer? The human answered clearly. You keep your worlds. You keep your people. But the old ways end. And if we refuse? Another leader asked. The human looked at him. Then you will lose the right to decide. No threat, just truth. The room went completely silent again. Because now, every leader understood the situation. This was not a battle they could win. This was a moment they had to face. The horned leader slowly lowered his head, not in defeat, but in thought, deep thought, because for the first time in his long life, he was not choosing between victory and loss. He was choosing between the past and the future. The Galactic Council chamber had never felt like this before. No voices, no arguments, no pride, only silence. Heavy, deep silence. The kind of silence that comes before something changes forever. The human still stood in the center of the room, alone, but not weak, never weak. Around him sat the most powerful leaders in the galaxy, beings who had ruled for centuries, beings who had never bowed to anyone. Until now, the horned leader remained standing. His large form no longer looked unstoppable. It looked thoughtful, careful. For a long time, he said nothing. He simply looked at the human, studying him, understanding him. Then, slowly, he spoke. If we accept your offer, he said, his deep voice echoing softly, what becomes of us? The human answered without delay. You continue, he said. That answer surprised many. You live. You lead your people. You rebuild your systems. A small pause, but you change how you lead. The horned leader narrowed his eyes slightly. And who decides that? The human held his gaze. You do. The answer was simple, but it carried responsibility. A kind the council had avoided for a long time. Another leader spoke, his voice uncertain. And if we fail to change? The human did not look at him. His eyes remained on the horned leader. Then we will finish what we started, he said. No anger, no emotion, just truth. The meaning was clear. This was not a temporary warning. This was a permanent shift. The old galaxy was ending. One way or another. The chamber remained still. Each leader began to think, not about power, not about control, but about survival, about the future, about what kind of galaxy they wanted to leave behind. The horned leader slowly walked forward. Each step echoed through the chamber. He stopped just a few steps away from the human. For a moment, the size difference was clear. The leader was massive. The human was small. But power was no longer measured by size. The horned leader looked down at him. You stand alone, he said. The human nodded. Yes. And yet you speak for your entire species. Yes. The leader studied him for a long moment. Then he asked one final question. What makes humans different? The human did not answer right away. He thought for a moment. Then he spoke. We learn, he said. A short pause. We fail. We fight. We break. Another pause. Then we learn again. The chamber listened closely. We made many mistakes, the human continued. But we remember them. Those words felt familiar. The same meaning as before, but deeper now. And we decided something important, he said. What? the Horn leader asked quietly. The human's voice became steady. We decided that strength without control is weakness. Silence. No one argued, because now they understood. That was the difference. That was why humans had won without destroying everything. That was why they had come here first. Not as conquerors, but as something else. Something new. The Horn leader slowly lowered his head. A small movement, but in that moment, it meant everything. I understand, he said. The room froze. No one had ever seen him do that before. He was one of the oldest rulers in the galaxy, one of the strongest, and now he had accepted the truth. He straightened again and turned to the rest of the council. His voice was strong once more, but different. We were wrong, he said. The word shocked many, but no one interrupted. We believe power meant control, he continued, but power without purpose leads to destruction. The room stayed silent. One by one, the other leaders began to stand, some slowly, some with hesitation, but they all stood, not in defiance, not in pride, but in acceptance. A new decision was being made. The Horn leader turned back to human. We choose peace, he said. The words echoed across the chamber. Clear, final. One by one, the others followed. We choose peace. We accept. We will change. The human watched them quietly. Then, slowly, he nodded. The tension in the room began to fade. The red warning lights dimmed. The hologram above the table shifted again. This time it showed something new. Human ships stopping, holding position, waiting, not attacking, not advancing. The first strike had ended, without a final battle, without total war, because a choice had been made. The human took a step back. His job here was done. As he turned to leave, one of the council members spoke. Wait! The human stopped, but he did not turn around. What happens now? The voice asked. The human answered simply. Now we build something better. He began to walk again, step by step toward the great doors. The chamber watched him go. The same doors that had opened with doubt, now opened with understanding. Before he left, the Horn leader spoke one last time. Human. The human paused at the doorway. This time he turned slightly, not fully, just enough to listen. You changed the galaxy today, the leader said. The human shook his head lightly. No, he replied. You did. And with that, he walked out. The doors closed behind him. The chamber remained silent. But it was a different kind of silence now. Not fear, not tension, but reflection. For the first time in its history, the Galactic Council was not thinking about power. It was thinking about responsibility. And far beyond the chamber, across the stars, the galaxy began to change.